Academy for Creative Teaching presents.
Spoorthy,
Kruthika?
what kind of a reader were you in school? A reluctant one or somebody who loved reading?
I loved reading.
Oh, yeah.
Always the mystery books. Because when they take clues, go on a quest, the sense of achievement I felt.
So you felt you were solving the mystery?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I was in the mystery.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. So what kind of books? Famous Five?
Yes.
Secret Seven?
Yes.
Oh. Nancy Drew?
Definitely.
Guess what? I read the same books.
Really?
Yeah. And we are a generation apart.
Yeah. How? I mean, nothing's
changed.
Wow. That makes me think. Are books so constant? Are they like there in all generations? How is it that we're so years apart and we're still reading the same book?
Yeah. I think it's about the kind of books that were there in our libraries. My school had an extensive library. We loved to go and read. And they were filled with these books. Each of us had 2 borrower's tickets. So we kept borrowing these books and reading them and returning. During the holidays, we had a circulating library. I think that was the culture those days, We had a lot of circulating libraries in our areas, the areas where we lived. And it became a part of our summer activity, that we'd go to the library and we'd pick books and read them. But I think everywhere you found these books. So, how were your libraries in your school?
Mine was similar too, These were the books that were readily available. And there were the same copies. There were
multiple
copies, because everybody wanted that.
Yeah.
And we would have these share dates, we would say from this date to this date, I will keep it and then I will give it to you. And then we also had this coupon system where, we would say we can borrow 2 books this week, return it the next week. And sometimes we wouldn't have read the whole thing. So we need a little more extra time. So but whatever books were there were these books. And they were things that we would go for generally.
Right. I think since most of us went to English medium schools, we were largely exposed to authors who were Western, right?
Yeah.
But did you ever read any book written by an Indian author? An English book written by an Indian author?
I think there were just 1 or 2 specific which was really popular because that author was there in the media. So the name was a popular name. But apart from that, I would never go and look for an Indian author because I was not aware. But many years after school, when I looked and when I searched, that is when I found a lot of Indian authors. But in school, it was mostly Western authors.
Yeah. I think there was a belief that the Westerners only could write English, and if your English had to improve, you had to read a Western author.
True.
But the same with me too. I think when I went to college and when English was a part of, one subject that we were exposed to these Indian authors. But then we didn't find them unless it was told to us that these were the Indian authors who wrote English and they wrote well.
I think that is what it comes from a very colonial point of view because we were conditioned to think that if you want to write something good in English, then you need to know about the English history, about the colonial history and works that were mainly centered around their culture. Because, all of these books had language, had slangs, had structures, wherever they went, physical structures that were very specific to a Western country. So.
And it did speak about their culture, largely. So if you had to know about the Indian culture, either you had to read about it in any other vernacular language, or you had to look for, certain authors who wrote in English about the locality. But I think we started learning about our country by reading what these English authors had to write about India.
Right.
I'm just thinking aloud, since you're the current young generation, imagining that you would build a school, or may not even be a school, maybe a local library, if you were given the opportunity or a project to start a new library, what are the kind of books you would include?
That's a really interesting question. I think that is something that teachers should also think about.
Yes.
Because when children come to a library, they need to have a sense of identification in the library. Because India is a pluralistic country, and there are diverse cultures within our country. And so when a child comes to a library, or even an adult, when they come to a library, they should be able to recognize and identify themselves with something that's there in the library. So I think if I had to design a library, I would definitely have Western authors, because that is something that is also a part of Indian history which we really need to know. So I would definitely have that. But I would also encourage children to come and let me know about books that interest them, that they would want to keep in the library. And I would probably give them the option to bring a book or tell me a book which I can get for them, something that speaks about their local culture, maybe their history, their clothing, their food, the stories that center around their living. And I would have a mixture of all these diverse books within the library.
That's a great mix. So you have both worlds.
Yeah.
Right? And it's high time that we know our country more through our own authors. Yeah? So that's a very good suggestion that you've given. I agree with you, Spoorthy. Right now we're talking about the English language, right? And as both of us have witnessed in our own lives, that we see a lot of our English books which are there in our library are by Western authors. It's great. They have a perspective. It's a Western perspective, about India. It would be lovely if we can read books from the perspective of our Indian authors. And as you say, understand India through her authors. Yeah. As much as it's important for us to read in other languages, obviously you learn the culture even through other languages. But when it comes to English, I think every library should have an amalgamation, or a beautiful balance between the books written by Western authors and also books written by Indian authors. And there are so many now, and many of them who write children's books.
So true. I really want to encourage teachers and parents to help children see India through her own authors, give them multiple perspectives about the same thing, be it Western, Indian. Just help them see things from a 360-degree view rather than just one perspective and believing it. Again, help them question and understand things.
Yes, absolutely. Question and think.
Question and think. True.